Tick, tick, tick. There's only 1 week till the debt deadline, but President Obama is not backing down on wanting the wealthiest in our country to carry out part of the burden in any debt deal.
An approach that doesn't ask the wealthiest Americans or biggest corporations to contribute anything at all. And because nothing is asked of those at the top of the income scale, such an approach would close the deficit only with more severe cuts to programs we all care about.
Just days ago, the President and House Speaker John Boehner seemed close to an historic deal. But last night, Speaker Boehner skipped the president's primetime speech. He said he didn't even watch it. After he made his own remarks to the nation, he was overheard saying, quote, "I didn't sign up for going mano a mano with the President of the United States." Fair and balanced debate now. Ford O'Connell, the former director of rural outreach for John McCain's presidential campaign, and Democratic strategist Marianne Marsh, former advisor to Senator John Kerry. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Jamie.
Marianne, the highest wage earners in our country, that's who the president pointed out last night. Yet the Reid plan doesn't call for new taxes, higher taxes. Did he undercut his own party's plan?
I think everyone's undercut everybody, and as a result, undercut this country. The fact is, without revenues, we're not going to hit $4 trillion in cuts. And that's what it's going to require for Goldman Sachs and Standard & Poor's not to downgrade our credit. So we're now in the unbelievable position of perhaps avoiding a default only to have our credit downgraded. And that just shows you that this entire debate is politics at its worst, because people are putting their own political interests before the best interests of the country, and that is just wrong.
What do you think?
Well, I definitely think the president was playing class warfare last night, but the bottom line is taxing the rich is not a long-term solution. It's a stopgap measure. We have more than 3,300 earmarks in the tax code. I promise you if we close those tax codes, and I do buy into Marianne's argument that we need revenue, I promise you we can find it there.
Well, Ford, let me ask you this, and then let me have Marianne weigh in, because the president went to the National Council of La Raza conference, which is an Hispanic organization, and he told a supportive crowd there that we're a nation that asks only the middle class and the poor to bear the burden. Is he misleading in any way? Do either of you think? I wanted to get your opinion on it, because it almost suggests that the wealthy don't contribute at all. Ford?
Of course, the president's misleading. He wants to win re-election. He knows he needs Hispanics in the battleground states. The bottom line is the wealthiest 1% in this country pay most of the taxes and do most of the hiring. Penalizing them for being successful is bad. What we need to do is close the loopholes in the tax code. And if we actually have a spending problem, not a revenue problem, but whatever revenue we may need, we can probably get there, I assure you.
Marianne, please weigh in on this, and also the fact that in that same speech, the president said neither party is blameless. Yet in the speech last night, he seemed to really call out and only target Republicans. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't think his speech last night was the best performance I've ever seen. But here's the real point. The middle class in this country bailed out Wall Street. They have all the tax breaks and all the loopholes. The folks who run those banks and corporations and hedge funds pay less in taxes than the people who work for them. That's wrong. And yet, if we go down the road proposed specifically by the Republicans in the House, that same group of people, the middle class, will be told no Social Security for you, no Medicare for you, none of the things you've already paid into. And that's the problem. Republicans are doing this because they want to avoid a primary. And independent voters will not forgive them in a general election. As a Democrat, I want the House back. But they picked the wrong fight because it's going to cost the country too much. I'll beat Republicans any day, but not this way, because it's bad for the country. There are plenty of other ways to do it. And if they do it, they're going to be a minority party for generations, the likes of which, when the Democrats lost the South, will make it look like a 2-week vacation.
All right. I know it sounds like you're calling for more of a bipartisan resolution. And Ford, there's a Wall Street Journal editorial today that I read that said that the president last night not only called out Republicans, but they used the word demeaned Republicans. How do you feel about that?
I mean, once again, what else do you expect by a president who's not offered a plan? Boehner's offered 2, Reid's offered 1, and now the president's to the left of his own Senate Majority Leader. The president wants to win re-election. He's not concerned about the plight of the American people. And the number one issue for independents is jobs. If we default, we will hurt jobs. That's the bottom line.
All right, Ford O'Connell, Marianne Marsh, really interesting discussion today. Good to have both sides. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.